Now let's hear from the opposition parties who will be talking about all this as they are knocking on doors leading up to the election in June. Here are Vic Fedeli, leader of the official opposition in the Legislative Assembly, PC finance critic and the MPP for Nipissing. John Vanthof is the NDP finance critic and the MPP for Timiskaming Cochrane. And Stacey Danckert is here. She's the Green Party of Ontario's finance critic and a candidate in the riding of Kitchener Centre. And as I welcome all of you to our program tonight, let me just remind everybody that you are still officially the leader of the opposition, Vic Fedeli, not the leader of the PC party. That's Doug Ford. But in the legislature, you're still the guy.
And my name is still on the door, and I'll be there till the end of the election. But I have one boss, and that's Doug Ford.
Okay, let us just give each of you an opportunity. You heard what the Minister of Finance had to say. Let's give each of you an opportunity to respond however you wish to what he did say. Mr. Fedeli, you first.
Well, you know, there were 5 things that stood out, the minister, that to me are just absolutely false. He talked about slaying the deficit, and of course you approached that as well when you said, how can you slay the deficit when we have a $6.7 billion deficit coming this year? He talked about balancing the books. They used all the reserves this year, and that's the only reason why the books were artificially balanced. Last year they balanced it by selling Hydro One and other assets. He said, again, we're the #1 foreign direct investment site. Well, we used to be, but we're 3rd today. There were a few other areas that he talked about. He said that our debt to GDP is the same and going down. Well, it's not. It went up by 0.5%. And he said our economy is still beating the Canadian economy. But in Q3, we had 0.3% growth. Canada was 0.4%, and the States, by the way, 3.4%. So none of what he said was believable today.
John.
2 issues that he stated. One is that they're now choosing to invest in hospitals, and this government has been in place for 15 years. They have chronically underinvested in hospitals, and that's why we have people being treated in shower rooms. We have people in emergency, being treated in emergency. So they have chosen to underinvest in hospitals. So now they've got a huge hospital deficit, which they're trying to fix. And the second thing is the dental care program. It's billed as an actual dental care program, but if you look at the details, it's basically, if you've got you're a couple with children, it's basically $50 a year for your child. That's half a filling. So it's not actually a dental care program.
We're going to come back to that, actually, because the Liberals have a dental care program, you have a dental care program, and we should do a little comparing and contrasting. Stacey, your view.
Yeah, so I'm concerned that this is a bit of a trying to buy power, essentially, with our money, unfortunately. And it comes across as a bit insincere because it has taken 14 years to get to this point. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is that a lot of the things are presented in piecemeal fashion. So it's little bits of money in lots of different places, which is great. The Green Party's been advocating for more social spending for years. But if you don't make it a cohesive plan that deals with some of the systemic issues, then I'm concerned that we won't have really great outcomes.
Vic, let me follow up with you on just the name of the budget. They call it a plan for care and opportunity. The suggestion clearly is that the people of Ontario need more care of all kind. Do you dispute that?
Well, think about the fact that this government has been in office for 15 years now, and now they're talking about that. And if I can be mildly cynical, I would say the only thing they care about right now is getting reelected.
That's not unique. Governments all want to get reelected, so I don't really hold that against them. If you win the next election, you will want to get reelected too. But clearly they have put their flag in the ground on the notion that we need more health care, mental health care, child care, pharmacare, dental care. There's a lot of stuff called care in this budget. Do you dispute that we need these things?
Well, I think they created all of these problems in the province of Ontario. As John aptly talked about, they created the crisis in hospitals. They've created a crisis in our jails. They have created all of these problems by their past actions over the last 15 years. And so it's no surprise that they are trying to buy the votes with our own money, because they have done such a horrible job with our economy and cost so many jobs.
Your party has made, I think, the biggest noise over the last year or so about what you've called hallway medicine. And they have come up now in this budget with $822 million new dollars for hospitals to solve this problem. You give them some credit for that.
Well, but they have been allowing these people to suffer, and in hospitals, in waiting rooms, in shower rooms. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's come to a crisis position, but they've been in power for 15 years. Part of being a responsible government is not to manage by crisis. If there's one thing that people expect the government to be able to handle, it's healthcare. And obviously, and if there's one part of healthcare that people expect that the government should be able to handle, it's hospitals. And obviously, for it to come to this point, it has become a crisis, and they're managing by crisis. And now they're on the road to Damascus, and they're saying, oh, we're going to fix all the things. You know, we're a brand new, shiny government. We're going to fix everything that's gone wrong in this province. They've had 15 years. They've made choices to underfund certain hospitals. They've made those choices.
Okay, but they've also decided that, again, with this word care, Danckert, pharmacare, child care, there's lots of care in this budget.
Yeah.
You want to run against that?
It is really hard to dispute that we need to improve services in all of those areas. Of course we do, and it's something that we have been fighting for many years. The thing that we would bring up is that you also have to pay for those services and do it in a responsible way. And there are ways we can do this. You know, natural resource extraction. We are giving away our natural resources right now compared to global standards, and we just don't need to be doing that. So there's a variety of ways that we can actually pay for these services.
Well, their choice is to go into deficit financing their way towards them.
Well, and I think that deficits should be saved for rainy days. I think that we have a really strong economy right now. They said so, I think, on the first line of the first page of the budget. And you know, this is just not the time that I think that we should be going into deficit. And I truly believe that we don't need to. That we have ways that we can pay for these things.
Does the PC finance critic think that this could have been and should have been a balanced budget today?
Well, certainly the Auditor General disputes this. The Financial Accountability Officer disputes this. And quite frankly, we dispute this as well. They used reserves again to artificially balance the budget. I think the only people that realize that we were in deficit all along are the opposition. This government has talked about their balance, but it was fake. It was always artificial. It was always due to the selling of Hydro One. It was always due to the selling of real estate assets. And we told them, you've got a structural deficit. There is a deficit that is baked in. And one of these days, and we think it's pretty soon, you're going to run out of things to sell. Well, lo and behold, last year was the last year they had things to sell. So this year, it's a deficit. Well, big surprise. We told you it was going to be a deficit because it's baked in.
My hunch is, though, that when you present your platform for the public's consideration, which you'll be doing, obviously, in the days and weeks ahead, the NDP will have their program costed and include a deficit for, I don't know how many years, but probably several.
We are going to invest in the people of Ontario because there's all kinds of deficits. There's a financial deficit, but there's also an infrastructure deficit. There's a deficit in services to the people. If you look at dental care, right, we've got every 3 minutes someone's going into a hospital emergency room for pain in their teeth. That's a huge cost. It would be actually better if we actually could get those people into the dentist and actually get the problem fixed. And overall, things like that, when you invest in people, you will eventually be able to take your economy to where it should go.
But in the meantime, you also would deficit finance those kinds of programs. Your Danckert program, for example.
We will invest where it makes the most sense for people.
You don't want to say the word deficit, do you?
No,
but that's what's coming.
But just when people talk about deficit and debt, when I ran my business, and when people in the country, people out there, people run debts and deficits. They have a mortgage on their house is worth something. They have a line of credit. You have to balance that. A government has to do the same thing. All debts aren't bad debts, but you have to do it responsibly and where you actually get the most return for your investment. And that's also investment in people, but investment in things.
In the lockup today, and just by way of explanation, hundreds of journalists are locked up in a room all day long to pray at the altar of budget secrecy. Why anymore, I have no idea. The budget's leaked weeks in advance anyway now. But anyway, we're all locked up. And today was Doug Ford's first lockup as the new PC party leader. And he was asked, and I want to give you a chance to speak to this now as well, he was asked, okay, you don't like what's in this budget. What of the new programs that the Liberals unveiled in this budget will you not bring in if you win the next election? He wasn't really responsive on that. I'd like you to be more responsive if you can be.
Well, quite frankly, we don't believe any of the programs they announced they have any intention of putting in. And I'm just very blunt about this. So here's an example. I brought an example from the budget. So this is one of their top 10, number 4, Seniors Healthy Home Program. And it's to help them live independently. They're going to spend $1 billion. Well, here's one that they canceled just in 2017. Healthy Home Tax Credit to help seniors live independently in their homes. Significantly lower take-up than projected and provides little support to low-income seniors. So they just canceled that program in January of 2017, and lo and behold, they make exactly the same announcement a year later of $1 billion program to help them live independently. We don't believe any of these things are anything to do with an actual budget. It is strictly an election document because Kathleen Wynne has made Ontario unaffordable for families, and so she is looking to bring anything, just throwing everything at it. So we don't believe any of it.
Well, you don't believe any of it. I mean, the Liberals brought in full-day kindergarten, and now they want to expand on that. I mean, they have a track record of having brought that in, and now they want to expand it. They have brought in OHIP Plus, now they want to expand it to seniors as well. Can you really say willy-nilly you don't believe any of it?
Yeah, because these are just, there's just so much spending that they just had to raise taxes. So that's really what they did not talk about today, was the $2 billion that they're raising in taxes over the next 3 years. It affects 1.8 million people, and it affects tens of thousands of businesses. If you're a medium-sized business, 20,000 businesses are going to pay more Ontario health tax. And if you're a small business, you're going to be paying $250 million more in taxes. So we're collecting, the province of Ontario is collecting $2 billion in taxes. We didn't hear them talk about that today. It's all of the other giveaways.
No, fair enough. And Stacey, that is, and we should clarify, I think we put the wrong number in the setup pack here. If you make more than $71,500 a year in the province of Ontario, you're going to find yourself in a new tax bracket, and as a result, you're going to have to pay a couple $100 more a year in income taxes. You okay with that?
One of the things that we're really concerned about is what Vic already mentioned, and that's the support for small businesses. That was the one that caught my eye. That I thought
they cut the small business tax, though.
They did, but then they also changed the EHT, and so
employer health tax.
Right, and so that might not provide as much support. We were talking with small businesses today in lockup, and they were very worried about some of these changes.
But for 83% of Ontarians, their personal income tax rates are not going to change at all. Vic Fedeli was referring to the 17% who are going to pay some more, and they are the higher income earners.
Right.
You okay with that? I mean, that is added progressivity to the income tax system, supposedly.
Right. I like that they made it a little bit less complicated by combining a couple of the elements, which is why that tax number is going up anyway. And it was slightly bizarre the way that it happened, because it looks like it's one tax bracket and not actually the highest income earners. And so that seems a little bit bizarre, but certainly I think that it is fair that if we're going to be enjoying all of these really important services and supporting our communities, we have to show how we're going to be doing that. And so transparency in how we're spending it or how we're getting those funding, I think that's important.
Okay, we have two representatives here from north of the French River. We have lots of viewers north of the French River, so we're going to ask about Northern Ontario right now. They are doubling the budget for Northern Ontario in this budget. That's what they've said. They've said that's what, now you're laughing, but well, the Northern Ontario Heritage Program, they're increasing the size of that significantly. Why are you laughing? That's true. What I said is accurate.
If I could, and we in the north, and I can't speak for Vic, but I think on this one we will agree. This government has got a great reputation of remembering us in election time and then slowly forgetting, and now they're really remembering us and promising the world. And that's what this government is doing right now, is they're promising the world to everybody and promising there are some significant issues in the North, and they're making some moves. But again, they've been there for 15 years. This is a government grasping at straws, and they're willing to say anything to, if I could, this budget, it's very cynical and very surgical. They're looking exactly where they can get votes, and they're trying to put programs in to surgically find votes, and it won't work.
It won't work in the North. You know, this is the government that sold Onterra, our telecommunications company that we had in the North for more than 100 years. They sold it, according to the Auditor General, for a $61 million loss as well. They gave it away. This is the company that shut down our railroad, our passenger railway that we had for more than 112 years. So they announced the Ring of Fire, $1 billion in 2014 budget, 15-16 budget. They ignored it in the 17 budget. Here we are in the 18 budget. They announced the same billion they announced in 2014 because they never spent a penny. So what do they do today? They announced that they're increasing the Heritage Fund by 50%. They didn't spend, they only spent 70% of it last year. They can't even spend the money that they had properly. So, you know, when you tell us you're raising the amount of money you're going to spend, they didn't even spend it last year.
Let me see if I can get Mr. Fedeli to say one nice thing about the Liberals on this program. Mental health investments. What'd you think?
Well, look, when you punish the people of Northern Ontario and all of Ontario, John and I traveled through Sudbury, Thunder Bay, and other areas for pre-budget consultation, and we had 2 young people who attempted suicide and weren't successful, thankfully. They were able to tell us their stories. When you hear those stories from these people, and then the third story was in London, Ontario, where they were successful. They killed themselves in the parking lot of the hospital. When you see that you've created such a crisis in mental health by ignoring it, it is about time that money is put towards mental health. We treat it far differently than we do physical health. You break a leg, you go to emergency, you get care. You go into emergency and present yourself with mental health issue, you may get an appointment in 6 months, 12 months. In one case, we heard 18 months. This is unsatisfactory in our Ontario.
The Liberal government says that it is making record high investments in mental health care in this budget. You've looked at it. What do you think?
You know, I would agree with Vic that this is something that really we're at a crisis point, that we can't have people waiting so long to get attention that, and care.
So you're content with their investment?
I see positives in their investment. The one hole that I saw was that elementary students wouldn't be served through this budget in terms of mental care, except from within their homes. So I'd like to see something happening in schools there, but I'm glad to see that they are finally talking about the need for addressing this issue.
What is the glaring absence that you find in this budget?
Well, I'd like to go back to mental health.
Sure.
Because it's one thing, because it's not actually an investment, it's a promise of an investment. And the one thing that we really believe is missing is a dedicated ministry for mental health. Because often mental health gets, we all know, and we all deal with it, you know, on a daily basis, coming into our constituency offices, in our family, but it often gets lost in Bell Let's Talk Day is great, but it often gets lost. And what we believe, what we continue to call for, and what we would implement is a ministry of mental health that would actually have a dedicated minister, a dedicated a ministry that would be responsible. So it wouldn't just kind of fall off the shelf once in a while, because it is one of the biggest crises facing our province.
That is something the NDP has pledged to do if they win. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, we've been talking about it in the legislature. We're not convinced that growing the bureaucracy is the answer. We'd rather see more frontline healthcare workers, and we've seen the report from the Auditor General on the CCAC and how much money goes into administration as opposed to frontline healthcare. And so, you know, we're eager to continue the conversation, but not necessarily eager to have a larger administrative
Got about a minute and a half to go here. Let me split it up between you two here. Biggest omission in the budget as far as you're concerned?
Well, the balance, the fact that they promised balance and never really were there, and certainly there's no plan to balance now. There's absolutely no plan whatsoever to balance.
Well, there's a plan. It's just going to take 7 years.
They have an outline, but they haven't outlined what they're going to cut to get there. There's no detail whatsoever. It goes 1 year, and they don't show anything after that, so there's no plan.
I think I know what your answer is going to be as a Green Party candidate, but maybe I'm wrong. What did you see as the most glaring absence in the budget today?
I think I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
I'm happy to talk about the environment,
That's
but
what
one
I
of the
thought you were
things
going to
that
say, so you're not going to say that.
Something I was really concerned about and looking for was more information about how they were going to move forward with the basic income rollout. Doing a pilot study is great, but unless you're actually intending to bring it forward and roll it out across the province, then it's not helpful to anybody. So I didn't see a lot of evidence that we were going to be moving forward with that.
No, there's one paragraph in the budget on the basic income.
It's pretty small, yeah, and no numbers that I could find. So that concerns me.
Can I get a wide shot, please, Mr. Director, while we thank, in order of precedence in the legislature as we do these things, there's Vic Fedeli and John Vanthof. And Stacey, you are not yet in the legislature of Ontario.
Not yet.
But you are running for such a position in the June 7th election in the riding of Kitchener Centre.
Correct.
And we thank all of you for coming into TVO tonight.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.